Let us go live here. Okay, so we have created around about a section, so now we have to create this section. Okay, so what do you see? Do you see a container fluid or do you see a container in this section? This one. What do we have? A container or a container fluid?
Container fluid.
Yeah, container fluid, because the background, this grayish color, is taking up the full space of the screen. So after the last section, we're gonna create a container fluid dash fluid, and yeah, we need space from the inside, but on the larger screens we want to have more space. So what should we do? On the larger screen we want to have more space, but as it gets smaller, I want to reduce that space. Like I want to reduce the padding. So how do I counter more spacing on the larger screen and less spacing on the smaller ones? We have studied about this yesterday.
The XL.
Yeah, good. So how do I write? What's the
O.
class for that?
The P
P.
dash
Yeah.
XL
XL and 5.
dash and the
Yeah.
number.
So PXL5 would refers to that we want to have a padding of 5 on extra large screen only, and below that screen we want to have a padding of, let's say, 3. Okay, great. Okay, so we have this grayish color. So what's the class for this grayish color? What's the class for this light grayish color?
B. X. What's the one with T? Just
It was BG, body, and then tertiary.
uh,
Okay, so yeah, it's kind of a difficult name, but yeah, you don't have to memorize them. Again, you can find them in Bootstrap, but it's gonna come to you. Okay, so do we have a container inside that container fluid, or is just the container only, container fluid only? Do we have the container inside, or is just the container fluid?
container inside.
Okay, if you were to have a container inside, this is the width of container. Like, this is the standard width of container. Do they align or do they not?
They don't.
They don't. So that means we don't have a container inside. That you have to put your focus on, because being a developer, you have to keep everything in check. Okay, so they're side by side on the bigger screen, and once I get smaller, they're aligned on top of one another. So what should we do?
Do you have to make the column? Like are you able to hear us? We can't hear you. We're still not able to. Okay.
Hello. Okay, so I was talking about, so these are side by side, so what's the class for that?
Yeah, that's row.
That's real good. So how many columns do we have inside this row? And I need you to look like really carefully for the columns. So how many columns do you think each one of these have? Like, is it equal, or are they different in sizes?
It's different.
It's different, exactly. So what about this one? How much columns do you think this one is taking? This left one. And we have to split 12 columns between these two. So we have to calculate each step accordingly. So what do you think this, how much is this one taking?
Would that be eight?
Yeah,
Or
we can do it. Yeah, we can do it.
yeah, eight.
So let's say call LG 8, and the second one then would be how much?
Four.
4, good. So call LG 4. Okay, so inside the first one we have a heading. So which heading is this? H2, H1, or H3?
H2.
H2, good. So copy it and we'll paste it inside here. Okay, so if you were to look like carefully here, this thing is more bold than this one. Yes. So how can we
Yeah.
do that? How can we make this one bold? Like they're inside the same H2, but the styling for this one is different than this one. Like we want to make it bold from this point to this point. So what should we do? So let me first put the class for the
Can you
color.
repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, the question was, um, we have an H2. Okay, this is the entire H2, but inside this H2, this one is less bold as compared to this one. Like this one is more bold as compared to this one. So how can we achieve that?
Oh,
How can we do that? Let me put the color here as well. So the color is text blue. So where is this class coming
do
from?
we have to? Do we have to do font weight?
Yeah, we can use font weight, but again my question is, if we were to put font weight on this H2, for example, let us put it here. So let's say I'm going to put
Uh-huh.
FW, and I'll say bold.
Or do the whole thing?
Yeah, exactly, it's gonna make everything bold. We don't want that. We just want this part to be bold. So what should we do?
So can we style? Do we just style font weight?
Style what? If I were to select this, it's gonna select
Font
the whole thing.
weight. Bold.
Yeah, we
Oh, okay.
have to use font weight, but if I were to target this H2, it's gonna do this with this entire thing. Okay, so now comes something new. If we want, do we get the problem? Like, what's the problem? We want to have
Yes.
two different stylings inside the same tag. Okay, and the problem is, if you were to style a tag, it's gonna do it for the whole thing. We don't want that. Okay, so if we want to have different stylings inside the same tag, we use a tag called span tag. Have we discussed about span tag?
No.
Okay, so basically span tag is used when you want to have different stylings inside a same tag, like we want to do right now. Okay, so what we are going to do is, we are gonna make this part go inside the span tag. Okay, span is an inline tag that is used to perform different stylings inside the same tag. So I'm going to put span tag here, paste it here, and I can give this one a class of font weight to be bold. What's that? Yeah. So look, now only this part is being treated as bold. Okay.
So
Uh,
technically, this does like part of the text.
yeah, exactly, it's part of the
Okay.
text, or not just the
Oh,
text. We can do it with, let's say, images, videos, or anything. Okay, and I think we have made 8 columns. Like, it's not 8 columns because it's breaking the line here, and I think it's not 8 columns. So maybe let's fix it to 7, and this one then would be how much? If the above was 7, this one would be 5. 7 plus 5 makes up to 12. Yeah, now it's looking good. Okay, then we have this paragraph. So copy, and below this H2 we're gonna put P with text of secondary. So what's the color for secondary? What is this secondary refers to? Which color?
It was
Yeah, it's what? It's gray. Okay, this one is gray, like dark grayish.
oh great, yeah.
Okay, so now comes something new. These are called accordions. Okay, this one is called accordions. So again we have like some major functionalities here, like we can open it, we can close it. So how can we do that? We are not going to do that. Bootstrap is already providing us with these. So if you were to go in Bootstrap, Bootstrap website, the original one, not Asha, Bootstrap, and if you were to search here about, let's see, accordions, we are gonna be getting this. Okay, this is exactly what we want. We can style it however we want it. So copy this and paste it wherever you want it. So we want it inside the col LG7 after the paragraph, and paste it, and that would be it. We have a proper functional accordions with us. So that's it. Okay, so now we want to style it according to our own. So the first thing we want to do is we want to put space between each of the item. Each of this accordion we want to have space, just like in Asha we have this space here. Okay, so we need to locate a single item. So let's locate the single item, and the single item is called accordion item. Okay, so now I want to select the next class that is saying accordion items. What's the shortcut for that? How do I select the next element that is saying accordion item? Again, we have
Control.
discussed about this yesterday. What was the shortcut?
Was it control?
Control and then
D?
D. Good. Control D, and then the next one again Control D. So now I want to have margins from top and bottom. What's the class? What's the class to put margin from top and bottom?
Margin top?
It's gonna just put the margin at the top. We want it to be on top and the bottom.
Margin?
Margin, and then on which axis? Like which axis is top and bottom?
No. Y.
It's y axis. Good. So I'm gonna say my and then 2. So can you see the margin here, or should we increase the margin? Yeah, increase it or decrease it? Yeah, okay, great. Now we want to put shadow. What's the class for making it have a shadow? Yeah, just a shadow. Okay, you just have to put shadow, and it's gonna put a shadow here. Can you see the shadow? We want to make it bigger. What was the class? Shadow dash LG. Okay, it's gonna make the shadow bigger, and now we have a bigger shadow, and it's looking good now. Now we want to remove the border. Can you guys see the border around this accordion? This kind of like it's really small, but we have a border here, like grayish border. Yeah, very good. But it's not border none, it's just border and then dash 0. Okay, but if you want to have a thick border, we can do with, like, let's say border 4. It's gonna put a dark border here, and we no, it's no, it's not gonna work, because the class for border none in Bootstrap is border 0. Okay, it's the pre-built, it's a pre-built class. Okay, so we can change the border color as well. For example, if I were to put border info, what would happen? It's gonna turn blue. Good. So we have this bluish color. Okay, but we don't want any border, so we'll just say border 0. We don't have any border now. Again, there's another thing, and that is we don't want it to be rounded. Like at the moment, it's rounded. So what's the class for making it not be round? Like just like the border. First tell me, what's the class for making something round? The class, not the property. Very good, rounded. So how do we make it not be rounded? Very good, exactly. So we'll just go rounded 0. So did it applied? Yeah, it did apply it, but yeah, it applied. So we don't have any border now. Okay, we don't have any
Yeah.
roundness. Okay, great. And the second part is easy because it's just an image. So I'm going to right click, copy image address, and I'll put it inside the second column. I'll go with image, paste it, and what would be the width of this image? 100%. Good. We want it to have the same width as the parent is giving. So we have a perfect looking section, and the fun part is, the good part is, it's totally responsive. So here you go. This is what it's looking on the bigger screen. If you were to make it go smaller, it's totally responsive. Perfect. Okay, the next section, this one is gonna have a lot of work on this side because this one is just an image. Okay, so what do you see? Do we have a container or container fluid for this section? Yeah, good. It's just a container. So we're gonna say container, and inside the container these things are side by side. So what's the class? Good. It's just the same thing again and again. And what about the columns? How much is each one taking? No, how much is each one taking? 6. Yeah. So call LG6, and we wanted to have 2. So the first one is just an image. So image, paste it, and the width is gonna be 100%. Okay, the second one is gonna be a lot of work. Not a lot of work, but some work. Okay, so this is the heading. So H2. Then we have this paragraph. Okay, so this is a paragraph with a class of text secondary because it's gray. But if we were to see the paragraph is in italic form, how do we make it go in italic form? Do you guys remember that tag? What's the tag for making it italic? I think we've. Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's it. I tag. So we'll just go with I and paste it, and now we have it. We have, and it's called, wait. So it's called font, and then dash. Where's the T? It's font style. No, we don't have. We don't have it. So we have to put it in I tag. So we're gonna put it inside the I tag. Okay, so now these things we can get that from Bootstrap, but this is what we have to use to we have to design it on our own. Okay, so my question to you guys is, how do we make this? Like the HTML and 100%, we want it to be side by side. What should we do? What should we do in order to make this HTML and 100% go side by side? Yeah, that we can do. But what about flex? Should we use flex or should we use row? Because if you were to use row, it's going to do the same thing as flex, but it's going to be responsive. And if you were to use flex, it's going to do again the same thing, but it's not going to be responsive. So how would you judge if you want to use row or you want to use flex? That is a very big question. Okay, how would you judge if you want to use row or you want to use flex? Okay, so you are going to judge on the basis of responsiveness. If something is changing on the smaller screen, like it's something like something is side by side on the bigger screen, but it changes on the smaller screen, just like this one. For example, for this section, if you were to go small, at the moment they're side by side, but once we go on the medium screen, they're going to change it to in a column wise direction. They're going to change the columns. So that's why we know that these things are going to be inside a row. But what about this? If we were to go more smaller, are they changing their layout, or are they staying the same? Yeah, exactly, they're staying the same. So what should we use? Should we use row or should we use flex? Yeah, good. So that's how you are going to judge whether we going to use display flex or display or row. So if something is changing, you have to use row, and if it's not, you have to use flex. So this one, they're side by side and they're not changing on the smaller screen, so we're going to use flex. So after this p, we're going to go with what's the class for making it go flex? Just like with the display none. What was the class for display none? It was d none, and for the flex it's going to be d dash flex. Good. So now we want to spread them apart, like on the x-axis. What was the property for that? For making it spread on the x-axis?
It was the flex.
D flex was for just display flex. What's the class for making it go spread on the x-axis? It starts with J.
Justify content.
Yeah, justify content. We want it to be space between, so we're not going to put the property. We have class in Bootstrap. It's called justify content between. It's going to do the same things. And then we'll say align items center. It's going to go make them go in the center on the y-axis. So align items center. Okay, so we have this heading. So I think it's h6. So h6 with the class of text blue. Where is this class coming from? Is it coming from Bootstrap?
Yes.
Uh-huh. There is no class as for
Oh.
text blue. Yesterday we have created this class with the name of text blue. Okay, this isn't coming from Bootstrap. If I were to show you here, we have this class text blue, and we made it. It was a custom class. Okay, because Bootstrap doesn't have this blue color. This one, this blue color. This blue color. So it's not coming from Bootstrap. We have created this on our own. Okay. So this one is going to say HTML, and everything is uppercase. So what's the class for making everything uppercase? What's the class for making everything uppercase?
Uppercase.
Very good. It'll be text uppercase. And perfect. And on the second side, we have again an h6, and it's going to say again class of text blue, text dash blue, and fw bold, and it's going to say 100%. Yeah, perfect. But again, it's too big. We have to make it small. Do you guys remember inline styling?
Yeah.
So how do we use inline styling? Like, I don't want to make a separate class to make them make them smaller. I want to use internal style inline styling. So how do we do that? Inside the tag.
Title.
It will be the style tag.
Good. And we want to decrease the size. So what's the property? Font size.
Font.
And let's say 0.8 rem. Yeah, this size is good. We're gonna do the same thing with the percentage. So I'm gonna copy this and paste it here.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So before you taught us, remember you taught us like FS font for the big pen?
Yeah.
We talked about that. So that comes in inline or that's Bootstrap?
FS, basically, if you were to put something inside a class, that's just Bootstrap. Okay, if you were to put something inside a class, but if you were to use,
FS1, FS4, like you had talked about this before.
yeah,
That's a class, right?
yeah, that's a class, and that's coming from Bootstrap. But we want to make it more smaller. Like if this is already H6, like this is already FS6, so we don't have anything below FS6. So that's why we're using our own styling. Okay. Great, now we have it side by side. So now we want to have this. What is this? What is it showing? What is this bar showing? Percentage of what? Basically your progress. Okay, this one is showing the progress. This one is called progress bar. So we're gonna, again we have it in Bootstrap, so we'll just write progress, and look, we have these bars, and we have a really cool bar as well. If you were to scroll down a bit, in the last we have this animated scroll bar, and we are going to use this one. So I'll copy it, and I'm going to paste it inside this, no, not inside the same, after this, paste it, and we have this animated scroll bar. Well, we want to change it according to our own. The first thing we want to do is, we don't want it to have these rounded corners. So what's the class for making it not go round? What's the class? Very good, rounded 0. So here inside the main div, we're gonna say we have this class, okay? So inside this class we're gonna say rounded 0, and now we don't have any roundness. The second thing we want to do is, we want to decrease the height, because this one is too much. If we were to look here, we have a small height here, so there's no class for height in Bootstrap, so we have to use again internal styling, or we can use external, but again it's going to be a drag if we were to use external styling. So let's use internal style, and we can say height, let's say 10 px. Yeah, it's looking good now. And the last thing we want to do is, this one is blue, okay, this one is primary. We don't want it to have a primary color, we want it to have this bluish color, and there's no color for this one in Bootstrap. So what should we do? What should we do if we don't have this in Bootstrap?
You have to type it ourselves.
Yeah, exactly, we have to do our custom class. So inside the same styles, not here, we need to target this progress bar, not the background. So this div, internal div, we already have a style tag here. I'm gonna say the background, and this color, this one. So I'm gonna copy it and paste it here. Is this ours? Yeah, this is ours, but the animation is totally gone. What happened? Wait, let me remove this. The animation is not working if I put background here. So let's make an external class. So let's say I want to make a class called BG Blue. It's not in Bootstrap, okay? I'm gonna make it on my own. So nothing's gonna happen because we haven't targeted this class in Bootstrap. So in our own styling, so I'm gonna target it in our own styling with the class of, let's say, BG Blue, because we have given it in HTML. And this one is gonna have a background color of this. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so now we want it to be 100%. At the moment it's 75%, it's staying at 75%. So how do we change that? If you were to see here back in our HTML, we have the width to be 75%. So if you want to change it, we can just go with 100%. It's gonna make it take up the whole space. Okay, after this we just have copy and paste. So I'll copy this entire thing. So how do I copy it down? What's the shortcut?
Is it Control Shift arrow down?
Control Shift arrow down? Oh, no, there's another key, not Control. It's
Alt,
and
Alt down.
no, there are 3 keys. Instead
Alt
of
Shift arrow down.
yeah, Shift Alt arrow down. What happened here? Shift Alt arrow down. Oh, I'm pressing the window keys. Shift Alt arrow down. Perfect. We have 2, but we need to change it, and we want to have margins. So let's say I'm gonna put margin here inside the first one, inside the second one. So I'm gonna say MT, meaning margin top. Yeah, good. So let's change this HTML to CSS, and we are gonna put percentages. So what do you think? What should I put on CSS? What's happening to my mic? Wait. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I don't know what's happening to my mic. I think it's broken or something. Okay. So I was saying. So we have this. We have put CSS. So we have, what's the percentage for CSS? It's 90%. But I'm not gonna put 90 here. I'm gonna put of how much have you guys learned. So what do you think I should put here? How do you rate yourself out of 100? In CSS. In CSS, should I put 100? Okay, let's say 100. Okay, so next one is, I'm not gonna put JavaScript here at the moment because we haven't studied that, and I'm gonna put Bootstrap. So where should I copy it from? This point. Yeah, this one. So I'm gonna copy all the thing down, everything down, and instead of CSS I'm gonna write Bootstrap. So how much do you guys rate yourself in Bootstrap? What should I put here? Like, it's totally up to you. How much do you rate yourself? Can you guys hear me? So how much do you rate yourself? Well, I'll tell you something. If you know rows and columns, like if you get the concept of rows and columns, you get everything the Bootstrap offers. So the main part for Bootstrap is rows and columns. If you get that, you get everything. So let's say, okay, let's go with 90. But it's gonna just change the heading to be 90. This bar isn't changing. So to change this bar, we have to change this. Yeah, good. So we'll just put 90 here. Perfect. And the last thing we have, let's say just JavaScript. So I'm gonna copy again this whole thing down. It starts from this point to this point, and we're gonna say JavaScript. And how much do we rate ourselves in JavaScript? Although we haven't learned a thing, but we did learn that the script tag is always pasted in the body part. So I guess we can put like 10% here. Yeah, let's say 10%. And we need to change this animated bar as well. So instead of 90, we're gonna say 10. Perfect. The section is ready, but the only problem is this one is too attached to the corners. So we want to put padding here. So inside the main container, what's the main container here? We're gonna put pxl5, like on the XLR screen we want to have 5, and p3 on the anything that is below. Yeah, great. Now this one is a kind of like a fun part because we have multiple cards here. So what do you think? We have a container or container fluid? Good. Container fluid. Just scroll down. So we have container dash fluid, and it's BG. The grayish color is BG. Body tertiary, and again we're gonna have a padding pxl5 and p3. Okay, do we have a container inside the container fluid or just a container fluid?
Container.
Good, we have a container because of the width. And this one is again h2 with text of center and text of blue. These are classes again coming from Bootstrap. This one isn't coming from the Bootstrap, this is our custom class. Text blue, and we want to make it bold, so FW bold, and yeah, we want to make it uppercase, so we'll just go with text uppercase, and it's saying services. Perfect. Now we want to have this underline, and we already created this underline before. Yes?
We could just copy paste it.
Exactly, good. We just have to copy and paste it. In fact, we don't even have to do that. We just want to name our classes the same name we did with the previous underline. and it's gonna apply the same styling, because if the names are same, the styling is gonna be same. So below this h2, what was the name of the parent? It was, I guess, gray, and inside the gray we had which class? I guess it was blue. Yeah, and that's it. Look, we have our underline here, because these classes, this gray and blue, are already styled in CSS. Look, gray and blue. So basically, if you were to put the same names again, it's going to apply the same styling we did before.
Got
Okay,
it.
so we have this P and P with text of center, text of secondary, and my3 because we want to have margin. Okay, this one is the main part, this one. So this is the view for the large screen, and if you were to go smaller, this is the view for the medium screen, and if you were to go more small, this is the view for the smaller screens. So basically on the smaller screen we have 12 columns. On the medium we have how much? How much do we have on medium screens? The columns. Like each one is taking, like in a single row we have how much? 6, exactly. On the medium we have 6, and on the large we have how much? Wait, this isn't large. This is large. So how much do we have on? Sorry, this isn't large. This is extra large. Yeah, this is large. So on large we have 6. On extra large we have how much? 3. Good. 3 plus 3 6 plus 3 9 plus 3 12. Okay, so we want it to be side by side. What should we use? And it's changing. So row or flex? Row. Good. Good. And let's do now for the extra large screen. So I'm gonna say call Excel 3, call LG 6, and below that everything should be 100%. Yeah, not LG. Let's say okay, LG, and then we want it to be same for the MD as well. So MD6. Perfect. Now inside this we have a special div. Now for example, can you see this space here? This space is not going to be achieved with just columns, because if we were to put columns here, wait, let me put columns, and I'm going to put BG, let's say danger, and with some padding, and I'm going to make it go have it 4 1 2 3 4. So if we were to do this, we wouldn't have space. Okay, we don't have any space. And if we were to put gap on the parent, what's going to happen is it's going to push it to the next line. We would have gap, but it's going to push the last item to the next row. Why do you think this is happening? How many columns do we have inside a row? How many columns do we have? 12. So if I were to put gap between those rows, between those columns, what's going to happen is going to take up extra space. So basically it will exceed the 12 columns, and if something exceeds the 12 columns, what's going to happen is going to make it go on inside on the next line. So how do we counter this space scenario? So it's pretty simple. We'll just put, wait, let me first remove this. Okay, so inside this column we'll just put a class of card. Now this card class is coming from Bootstrap. Now what's going to happen when we put card? We'll have that gap we want inside the columns. Okay, so if you want to have gap inside the columns, what you have to do is you're going to put a class of card inside the columns. Okay, so inside the card, wait, let me save it. Yeah, so inside the card we have this icon. So I guess it's called, let me see, it's called activity indicator, I guess. And yeah, BI activity. So inside the card I'm gonna have a I with a class of BI, and bi dash activity, and I want to make it bigger. What's the class for making it bigger? Oh wait, let me first do all of the structure part, and then we can do it. This is the heading, so let's say h3 lorem 2, and then we have this paragraph p with text of secondary and lorem, let's say 7. So yeah, we have this card. So what do we need more inside this card? And I think h3 is too big, so let's make it go h5. Yeah, so what more do we need inside this card? How do we make it, look good? Or should we just leave it as it is? Padding, yeah, good, padding. So we'll have padding. Okay, now we don't want this border, so what should we do? What was the class? Border 0. Now you want to, yeah, now you want to have it shadow. Now you wanted to have some shadow, but I want it to be bigger. How do we make it bigger? Yeah, good, shadow LG. Perfect. Now that's it. But again, we want this icon to be bigger. This icon. So what's the class? Very good, fs. So I'm gonna say fs, let's say 3. Nah, 2. 1. Yeah. And the color for this icon is, what is the color? Info, good. So class, give me the class. What's the class? What's the class for making it have the info color? Very good, text info. Perfect. And the second one, this one is displayed blue color. Yeah, the light blue color. The second one was the primary, the second blue color. Okay, so it's basically this dark bluish color. Okay, so info. And for the h5, we're gonna be text, we're gonna say text blue. Okay, this is our own class, and we want to make it bolder, so fw, maybe let's just, nah, bold sounds good. Yeah, so now we want to have 4 cards. We'll just copy this column, and 1 2 3 4. Perfect. And what's more perfect is this. So this is the extra large screen. This is the large screen, but we have a problem. We don't have space from the bottom part. We can do that. And this is the small screen. Perfect, perfectly responsive. So now we want to have some space from top and bottom. So what should we do on every card? So what should we do? First of all, I need to select all of the cards, the next instance of this card. So what's the shortcut? Control D. Good, D. And now I want to have space from top and bottom. What's the class? Very good, my. And great. If we were to make it go smaller, perfect. On the medium screen for 6 columns, and perfect. So let's do this last thing. And is there a question? Okay. So let's do this last thing, that is this. What is this? How is this being achieved? Hover, good. So hover on what? Hover on these classes. We can't go with column because it's going to target all the columns. So let's give a custom class. So I'm going to say my card, or let's say my service card. This is our custom class. Okay, because this is inside the services, so I've named it my service class. And yeah, so we'll target what? My service card. Have we said class or card? Yes, it was card. My service card. So I want to put hover. So what do we want to do when I hover upon it? I want to make it go up. How do I do that?
Transform,
Good.
translate.
Transform, and then translate what?
On the y-axis.
On the y-axis. Good. So I want to make it go up. Would it be positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. Good. So 20 pixels. This is ours. Yeah, it's going up, but it's not looking good. Why?
We need to add a transition.
Good. We need to add transition where? On the hover or separately?
On the hover.
Okay. If you were to put transition,
Separate.
why separately or why on the hover? Let's put on. Let's put first on the hover. So let's say it's 0.5 and 0.5 seconds, and it's gonna have this transition. But the problem is if I were to take my mouse out of this card, it's gonna snap back. It's not gonna have that smoothness. Why is that? Because we put transition only on the hover. That put transition only when the mouse hovers upon it. So it's not gonna do anything when we take the mouse outside of the card. So we need to put it separately on this my service card. So we're going to target my service card, and I'm going to say that transition should be applied no matter if it's hovering or it's not. So here you go. Now we have this smoothness. Okay, the last thing that is, if I hover upon this card, can you see this heading being changed? Is changing the color? Is it or is it not?
Yeah.
So how can we achieve that? The same way. We're going to say my service card, and when I hover upon my service card, the effect should be applied on this H4. So how can we do that? H4, just like this. So what's this code is saying? When I hover upon my service card, the effect should be applied on H4. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so what effect do we want? We want to change the color. So the color should be var, and we're going to use the variable that is coming from Bootstrap, that is bs info. But the problem is it's not going to work. Why is that? Because Bootstrap puts precedence on its classes. So how can we override that? Like we're going to say to CSS that I want this to be applied no matter what.
You're gonna make it important.
Good, important. So it's still not working because I think it wasn't H4, it was H5. Perfect. So any questions? Do you guys have any
I hear
questions?
you.
What's happening to my mic? I'm really sorry about that, but something's happening to my mic. I don't know what. Okay, so I was
I
saying.
hear you now.
Okay, so do you guys have any question until this point?
No.
Okay, great. So that would be it for today, and I've checked your assignments. Your assignments were really good. Okay, I'm really impressed, mashallah. But there was one problem, and that problem is I've received Miss Khadija's and Miss Mariam's assignments, and the problem with both of these assignments was you are making separate repositories for the same task. Like you're doing the same thing, but you're making separate repositories. For example, for the work that you have done previously, you are making a separate GitHub repository, and for the work that you have done, like in the second part, you are making the separate repository for that, separate folder for that. You don't have to do that. Look, we need to push our code into the same repository we have created yesterday. Okay, we don't have to create a new one. How can we do that? We'll just open up our terminal by pressing Ctrl J. And what were those commands that we have to repeat again and again? It was git add dot git commit dash m, and let's make it updates, and git push dash u and origin main. Now I don't have to create a separate repository. What this is going to do is gonna make this updated code go inside the same repository that I have created yesterday. Okay, and that's exactly what you have to do. You don't have to make a separate repository. Okay, it's the same folder again and again. no matter how many changes you do. For example, if I were to go, I think it was named Arsha, so it's gonna say, look, it's saying now. So basically it's saying that we have pushed the code just now, and it had updated our code to the latest version. Okay, so you don't have to make separate repository, just make the same repository and just push code in again. Okay, so
I have some for my homework. It's just not letting me log in. I'm not sure why. So when you made the password, was it going to expire the password soon?
no, it was 12345 6. Have you changed the password?
No, I didn't change it. I kept it the same, but it's not letting me log in.
So
It's my email and it's 126.
wait, let me
So I got
try it here. So what was your email?
it's nimraamir1128 at gmail.com.
AMER or AMIR?
ER
Okay, and then 1122
1128
1128 at the rate,
at gmail.com.
and was 12345 6.
Yeah, I believe so.
It logged me
Oh,
in.
it's not letting me log in. I don't know why.
Is it showing some errors?
It's showing errors. Yeah, it's saying that it's not correct. I will try again, but I sent you the assignment on WhatsApp.
Yeah, I've checked it, and I think there is some time left for the assignments, or there isn't. No, yeah, there is a time left. So the time
Okay,
is,
I will try to log in. If I have difficulty logging in, I'll let you know.
okay, sure, no problem. Okay, so any questions?
No, that's
Okay,
it. Thank you.
so the homework will be just up until the services section. Okay, I'll upload the assignment on the portal as well, and
Alright, thank
you
you.
have to push the code in the same repository. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.